As the sun rose in the sky, the office became alive with energy. Employees filled the space, engaging in lively conversations and exchanging warm greetings. There was a strong sense of camaraderie and belonging evident in the serene smiles worn by each employee. The office was filled with a sense of fulfillment and contentment. Colleagues bantered and shared their plans for the evening, discussing favorite after work activities such as getting coffee or engaging in invigorating pursuits. The commotion ceased abruptly, leaving behind a heavy silence. Their employer emerged from the shadows, exuding authority and presence. Her expression was inscrutable, concealing any emotion. Her keen eyes scanned the area with precision, observing every detail. Every step she took was deliberate and precise, reflecting her commitment to order and discipline. Her unwavering stance demonstrated her unquestionable power and leadership in this operation. As the designated hour arrived, diligent employees swiftly gathered at their workplaces, displaying dedication and punctuality. Acknowledging their esteemed superior's presence, a harmonious chorus of greeting filled the space. The influential figure before them, true to her customary demeanor, acknowledged the salutations with a brief nod, emanating an indomitable aura. With a composed and purposeful gait, she made her way to her private cabin, known as her sanctuary. In the aftermath of this encounter, the employees collectively exhaled a sigh of relief and regained their focus. Eager to fulfill their obligations, they promptly resumed their work with a renewed resolve. She entered her secluded cabin and strode towards a sleek working desk, settling herself before it. With a heavy heart, she sank onto the cushioned chair, feeling the weight of her exasperation pressed against the fabric. Letting out an audible sigh, filled with both irritation and weariness, she leaned back, gaze fixed upon the pristine expanse of the plain white ceiling above. Frustration rushed through her mind as she revisited the disheartening conversation she recently had with her mother. Memories flooded back, each image tinged with exasperation and concern. Her mother's words, though well intentioned, had struck an uncomfortable chord within her soul. In her fervent quest for a brief escape from the constant troubles plaguing her mind, she decided to find solace in closing her eyes. As she shut her eyelids, she was transported to a peaceful realm, free from worries and tribulations. In this serene cocoon, time passed gracefully, like a waltz. However, her tranquil interlude was abruptly interrupted by a powerful scent invading her senses. The unsettling aroma of fresh coffee, wrapped in comforting tendrils, stirred her from her momentary bliss. Slowly, she opened her eyes, not quite ready to sever her connection with the peaceful world that she had reluctantly left behind. Her astonishment grew as she saw her dedicated secretary standing before her, holding two cups of steaming coffee. The subtle line etched across his face conveyed a sense of warmth and relaxation. In a graceful gesture, Jimin offered her a meticulously brewed cup of coffee. Their eyes briefly met as he handed over the warm vessel, his eyes filled with kindness. Jimin took a seat on a chair opposite her. Gratefully, she accepted the cup, her hands caressing its ceramic surface. The first sip awakened her taste buds with its robust and invigorating flavor, bringing a much needed sense of relaxation and relief to her weary heart. They sat in silence, finding solace in each other's presence. Jimin, gifted with empathy, quietly observed her troubled state. Sensing the need to break the stillness, he decided to speak. "Are you well, ma'am? You appear somewhat troubled." His gentle voice resonated with her. She gazed at him in surprise. Despite concealing inscrutable emotions, he consistently had a perceptive understanding of her. He knew her better than she knew herself. "No," she stated firmly, shaking her head and realizing a weary sigh. "My mother had been persistently pressuring me to enter into matrimony," she explained, all while she indulged in a soothing sip of her steaming cup of coffee. He nodded in comprehension, his gaze reflecting understanding. "So, what is the obstacle? Get married." he suggested, shrugging nonchalantly, while a self assured smile played upon his lips as though he had offered the ultimate solution. Mr. Park, she said, giving him a disapproving glare. He swallowed nervously and quickly corrected his posture, muttering a brief apology under his breath. The crux of the matter lies in my attempt to evade her incessant pestering by claiming that I have a boyfriend, with whom I am supposedly engaged. Now my mother expects me to introduce him during dinner tonight, she explained, struggling to suppress her frustration and the overwhelming urge to yank at her hair. He sat in silence, unsure of how to respond. As he sighed and leaned back, she placed a hand on her aching head, desperately trying to come up with an escape plan. He suddenly became animated. A brilliant idea struck his mind. Ma'am, I have a suggestion for you. You can ask someone to be your fake fiancé for the evening. This would provide two distinct advantages. Firstly, it would alleviate the relentless pestering from your mother, and secondly, it would allow you the necessary time to search for a suitable partner. You could then explain the situation to your mother at a later stage. He proposed, eagerly anticipating her response. The woman appeared to be noticeably impressed by the concept. While it is indeed a commendable idea, she momentarily ceased speaking, taking a moment to reflect upon it. Unfortunately, I lack male friends or individuals who can assist me in this particular predicament, she expressed, shaking her head in discerning manner, prepared to discard the idea. After a momentary pause, she inquired, Mr. Park, do you have a girlfriend? He shook his head in response. I want one, he replied momentarily before indulging in a sizable sip of his now lukewarm coffee. Perfect, be my fiancé, she said, her lips curving into a small smile. His shock was evident as he involuntarily spewed coffee from his mouth. His eyes widened, and he snapped his head to face her. What? How can I be your fiance? He stammered, flush creeping upon his neck and ears. Why not? You're the only person I trust, and as you suggested, it's just for tonight. Be my fake fiance. She proposed. He blinked his eyes in regret, realizing that he had blurted out the idea without thinking. He opened his mouth, resembling a fish, incapable of uttering a word due to overwhelming surprise that engulfed him. With a dismissive tone, she boldly announced, I'll pick you up at 7 for dinner at my parents' abode. Afterwards, she returned her attention to the piles of documents. He remained still, overwhelmed with the realization that his crush had asked him to be her fiancé, be it fake. A wave of excitement fluttered in his stomach, causing butterflies to take flight. He fought back a smile, clenching his lower lip to prevent it from betraying his joy. Mr. Park, I want the reports for last month's export. Startled by her voice, he quickly snapped back to reality. With a nod, he pushed aside any distracting thoughts of romance. Rising from his seat, he lazily made his way to his office, intending to fetch the asked documents. Mr. Park, he turned to face her, eager for her to finish the sentence. Wear blue tonight. You look exceptionally handsome in that color. She continued, lowering her gaze and returning to her work. A blush instantly sprayed across his cheeks, highlighting a rosy hue. With an unfiltered smile on his lips, he hurried out of the room and made his way to his office. Wyan and Jimin were en route to her parents' house. Wyan, calmly driving, took them towards their destination. However, Jimin seemed distressed, fidgeting in his seat, nervously nibbling his nails and adjusting his blue suit. Jimin, stay calm. They won't bite you. You are familiar with them. She reassured, maintaining her focus on the road ahead. Jimin blushed upon hearing his name from her lips, but he swiftly regained his composure. But, ma'am, what if I make a mistake? They might not approve of our relationship because I'm your secretary. I don't want to be the cause of any conflicts between you and your parents. He expressed his concerns. She briefly glanced at his anxious expression before returning her attention to the road. I understand your apprehension, but rest assured that everything will be fine. I'll be there with you, and call me Ryan. My parents will definitely doubt me if you keep on addressing me as ma'am. She responded calmly as she maintained her attention on the road ahead. Upon entering the living room, the inviting scent of homemade food wafted through the air. Ryan's expression turned to a frown as she noticed the absence of her parents. Mom, Dad, I'm here, she declared, making her presence known. Ryan's parents emerged from the kitchen, and a smile crossed their face upon seeing her. Her mother approached, enveloping her in a warm embrace. Ryan closed her eyes, returning the hug. As Ryan and her mother broke apart from their embrace, her mother lightly planted a chapstick kiss on her forehead. With a smile, she then turned to embrace her father. Ryan couldn't help but giggle as her father playfully swayed her from side to side, holding her tightly yet tenderly. It is a reassuring truth that no matter how much we may mature, we forever remain our parents' children. As they separated from their warm embrace, Ryan gently planted a kiss on her father's smooth scalp. With a mischievous smile adorning her face, she playfully commented, I hope you witness a prolific growth of hair. Her father stared at her momentarily before they erupted into a delightful laughter. Their laughter subsided, and everyone's focus shifted to Jimin, who stood a few steps away, observing the lively family exchange with a calm and contented smile. Upon seeing him, Ryan's mother softly uttered his name, exchanging a brief glance with Ryan's father. Ryan observed her parents' perplexed expressions and gestured towards Jimin. With their hands entwined, she gently tugged him towards her parents, stopping before them. Mom, Dad, I introduce you to the man who holds my heart, my fiancé Jimin, she declared, her voice filled with sincerity as she gazed at Jimin, her lips curving into a faint smile. The words effortlessly escaped her lips, leaving Jimin flattered at their sentiment. Their lips curled into a subtle smile as Ryan's mother approached Jimin and embraced him unexpectedly. Honestly, I have always supported the idea of you and Ryan being together. You two truly make a charming couple. Now I am delighted to see that my wishes are coming true, she exclaimed, beaming with joy as she released him from her embrace. Ryan's father gently patted Jimin's shoulder, a warm smile adorning his face. Jimin felt his body relax and a sense of serenity washed over him, causing a surprised yet contented smile to appear. He was taken aback by their welcoming embrace. Children, shall we gather for dinner? We have prepared a plentiful feast for you, Ryan's father announced, leading the way to the dining area accompanied by Ryan's mother. I told you they wouldn't bite. Her words caught his attention, and he observed her smiling at him. However, he struggled to discern the emotions concealed behind a smile. Let's go. She gently guided him towards the dining area. He couldn't help but admire their hands, perfectly intertwined like two complementary puzzle pieces. The touch of her hand emitting a comforting sense of peace and tranquility, instantly soothing his heart. The dinner was a joyous occasion where Ryan's parents generously provided a plentiful feast for Ryan and Jamin. Amidst the lively atmosphere, laughter and familial banter filled the air, creating a strong sense of belonging for Jamin. It seems as though he had always been a part of this warm and loving family. Throughout the evening, Jimin and Ryan's gazes would occasionally meet, and each time she bestowed upon him a smile filled with adoration, affection, and quite possibly love. When do you intend to tie the knot? Ryan's mother interjected, showcasing her enthusiasm for their forthcoming marriage. I hope you aren't concealing a marriage from us. She narrowed her eyes, observing the couple before her. Mother, please cease discussing the matter of marriage for the time being. We will proceed with marriage at the appropriate time when we are adequately prepared. Responding to her mother, Wine impulsively indulged in a mouthful of delicious chocolate ice cream, inadvertently smearing a portion of it on her lips. Observing this, Jimin extended his hand to delicately remove the residue by gently brushing his thumb against her lips. Wine abruptly seized her moment, her breath caught in her throat as Jimin's soft thumbpad delicately grazed her lips. His eyes widened in sudden realization of his action, lifting his gaze from her lips to meet her eyes. In that fleeting moment, their hearts skipped a beat as their gaze locked. Their surroundings faded away as their hearts beat in unison, exchanging unspoken words through their gaze. A sudden realization washed over them, revealing a long hidden flame. The emotions that were concealed beneath the guise of professional admiration now surged forward. Their initial infatuation blossomed into a profound sentiment known as love. Through their 2 years of working closely together, a serene emotion ignited within them. However, this realization encompassed a certain ambiguity. They were uncertain whether the other person shared those same sentiments. There was a fear of potential rejection and the pain of a shattered heart. Wyan's parents, who had been silently watching their intimate conversation, cleared their throats to snap them back to reality. Startled, Wyan and Jimin turned their attention towards the older couple, who were wearing mischievous smiles. It seems like love is in the air, don't you think, dear? Wyan's father remarked, a smirk playing on his lips, while the younger duo avoided making eye contact. Wyan's mother nodded in agreement. The sight of their flushed faces caused the older couple to erupt into laughter. Jimin sat on Wyan's bed, taking in the sight of the room Wyan had once occupied before moving out. His blue three-piece suit remained carefully arranged on the nearby couch. Wyan's oversized black t-shirt and sweatpants clung to his fit physique. Following a lively dinner, Wyan's mother insistently urged them to spend the night, resulting in them sharing a room together. Jimmy noticed a small black object moving beneath the couch. He focused his gaze, attempting to discern its shape more clearly. Suddenly, his eyes widened as he recognized the creature. Uttering the word cockroach under his breath, Jimin involuntarily emitted a shriek of terror. Reacting instinctively, he quickly ascended onto the safety of his bed and began to jump in fear. Wyan emerged abruptly from the bathroom, disturbed by his ear piercing scream. What happened? Concerned, she inquired about the cause of his distress, observing his terrified state. Cockroach, Jimin indicated towards the creature scuttling across the floor. The cockroach, seemingly aware of Jimin's situation, flew towards him, prompting another startled scream to escape his lips. He swiftly leaped off the bed and rushed towards Wyan, hastily clinging on to her. His hands encircled her neck whilst his legs clasped around her waist. The sudden motion caused Wine to stumble backwards, but she managed to regain her balance after taking a couple of steps. Please remove the nasty creature, please, he whispered as he pressed his face against the curve of her neck. The rapid thumping of his heart resonated so intensely that Wine could feel it as well. Wine observed the mischievous creature who had just startled Jimin before screwing back beneath the couch. It appeared that even cockroaches found pleasure in tormenting Jimin. Jimin, it's gone, she whispered gently while her hand moved in a comforting motion on his back. He lifted his face away from her neck and met her gaze. Please say that you are telling the truth, he requested, studying her eyes. She nodded firmly, giving him a confident look. Jimin released a brief sigh of relief. However, his momentary respite quickly faded as the realization set in. His eyes widened, and a blush colored his face, betraying his embarrassment. Swiftly lowering himself, he averted his gaze, unable to meet hers, as an uncomfortable tension enveloped them. So, Wine began, breaking the uncomfortable silence that had settled between them. You have a fear of cockroaches, she added, unable to contain her laughter any longer. Jimin couldn't help but feel his embarrassment grow as his cheeks flushed an even deeper shade of red. Please don't laugh, I'm already embarrassed, he whined. Okay, I'm sorry. She took a deep breath to compose herself, attempting to stifle her laughter. However, upon glimpsing Jimin's blushing face, she succumbed to laughter once more. Jimin protested playfully yet couldn't help but chuckle as he observed her contagious laughter. Her delightful chimps warmed his heart. Let's sleep, she remarked, her laughter subsiding as she sought to restore her breathing. He nodded and retrieved a pillow from the bed before proceeding towards the couch. Perplexed by his actions, she inquired, "Where are you going?" "Couch, to sleep," he replied, turning towards her. "There is no need to sleep on the couch. The bed is spacious enough for both of us. Join me here," she said, taking a seat on the side of the bed. "No, that's all right. I don't want to cause any discomfort for you," he responded, his hand nervously grazing his neck as he flashed a friendly smile in her direction. Upon hearing his words, a mischievous grin appeared on her face. She couldn't help but be intrigued by his gently demeanor. This sparked a cunning idea within her. "I saw the cockroach cuddling beneath the couch. What if it's creep upon you during the night?" she uttered. Her words prompted him to hastily move towards her, leaping onto the bed beside her. "I think I should sleep on the bed," he chuckled nervously, while Vine pressed her lips together to stifle her laughter. Vine reclined on the bed as Jimin proceeded to place pillows between them. "What are you doing?" Vine inquired, displaying annoyance towards his course of action. "I'm making a pillow wall," he responded in a monotonous tone, skillfully arranging the pillows between them. "I don't bite," Vine stated firmly, her brow furrowed in annoyance. "But I do. I mean, I have a tendency to toss and turn during sleep. This arrangement is for your safety," he explained as he settled onto the bed. A moment of silence stretched between Vine and Jimin as they reclined on the bed, their gaze fixed upon the intricate patterns adorning the ceiling. Vine's gaze shifted towards Jimin, observing the tension in his body and the way he held his breath. Sensing his unease, she softly uttered, "Jimin, relax." Anticipating her words, Jimin let out a deep exhale and gracefully eased the tightness in his muscles, allowing himself to unwind upon the bed. He glanced in her direction, fixating on her profile. "What comes in your mind when you think of love?" he inquired, unable to restrain himself. "You." Without delay, she responded, her gaze locked on him, her eyes sparkling with a medley of sentiments. He was surprised by her response. She smiled and quickly threw the pillows, separating them across the room. She moved closer to him, facing his side. "You occupy my thoughts whenever the thought of love crossed my mind," she admitted, placing her hand tenderly on his cheek and stroking it gently. "Your smooth, ebony hair, captivating brown eyes, supple cheeks, and heart-shaped lips instantly flood my thoughts whenever I pondered love," she continued with great sincerity. He always admired her boldness and candor. Her unhesitant confession of love for him stirred something deep inside him. Jimin was captivated, rendered speechless by the flood of emotions coursing through him. In that moment, all his doubts and anxieties began to dissipate, making room for something far more profound: love. Overwhelmed, he gazed at her, unable to articulate his tumultuous thoughts. Yet there was an intense desire within, an insatiable yearning to hear those enchanting words escaping her lips. With bated breath, he finally mustered the courage to ask, "What does all of this mean?" "It means I love you, silly boy," she chuckled softly, witnessing a blush appear on his face. Overwhelmed with joy, he moved closer to her and embraced her, concealing his face in the curve of her neck. You don't have any idea how happy I am. I love you as well," he whispered, his eyes welling up with tears of happiness. "I know," she said, emitting a light chuckle while gently caressing his head. He instinctively moved away, seeking eye contact with her. Sensing his perplexed demeanor, Wine intervened, choosing to clarify her point. Do you recall that time when you lent me your laptop? By chance, I stumbled upon a folder containing pictures you had taken of me secretly. She shared, flashing a mischievous grin that caused him to blush in response. Do you think I haven't noticed the way you gaze at me, attend to my meals, and eagerly address my personal and professional concerns? Let me tell you, Mr. Park, that I possess a deeper understanding of you than you have of yourself, she declared as he stared at her with affectionate eyes. I just love you so much, he confessed once again, enveloping her in a tight yet possessive embrace. I love you more. She reciprocated his embrace and planted a gentle kiss on his head. Indeed, it is often stated that a single moment can lead to the profound emotion of love. If two individuals are destined to be together, their connection will evolve organically.